Hey guys, welcome back to the kitchen. We are going to be here today. We're going to be making side dishes. So let's get to those potatoes, yo. Okay guys, so today we are going to be focusing on like a potato casserole and then a potato refrigerator roll. Fridge roll. Potato... why can't I do this? Potato refrigerator yeast rolls. So that's what we're going to be doing today. On actual Thanksgiving, like when I'm doing the turkey and everything, we'll have a couple like vegetable sides to kind of go with it. Today we're focusing on potatoey things, which I love, which is good. So we are going to head over to the stovetop now and get cracking on our potato casserole dish. Okay guys, so I have a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter melting in my medium, it's like a 10-inch saute pan. That's about 4 tablespoons of butter. And in that, I am going to saute and get kind of caramelized, not quite caramelized, but definitely get the onions. We're doing a 1/2 cup, and I've already chopped those of white onion. So that's going to go in here, since the butter is pretty much all the way melted. I have the heat on about a 7 so that the butter didn't burn, because burnt butter is not good butter. So just for a second to kind of start heating up the onions. I'm going to keep it on that 7 level. And then we're going to bop it up about a 1/2, so 7.5. For those of you who do not have 1/2 increments on your stovetop, just turn it up just the slightest little bit. Because again, you don't want to burn the butter and you don't want to burn the onions, because it's just, it makes everything really bitter and have that like nasty burnt flavor, and you don't want that at all. So that's starting to steam a little bit. We'll lay those down flat. The next items that we're going to start putting in, we have 2 regular, it's 10.5 ounce cans of cream of celery. Original recipe calls for 2 cans of cream of mushroom, but I don't like mushrooms, so not doing mushrooms. So we have cream of celery. We've got salt and pepper. We're putting in 1 pint or 16 ounces of sour cream. It calls for, I think, like fat-free sour cream, but we're not playing that game. We like full fat here. And then we've got 1/2 pound of Velveeta cheese. And then I have 2 pounds of hash browns thawing out in a bowl over here to the side. See, you hear that? And you can kind of smell. I mean, you guys can't smell because I'm doing this and they don't have that fancy stuff yet. But it's starting to bubble a little bit. Starting to get nice and flavorful. You've got the steam coming up. It smells really good. In culinary school, like, a lot of people use like oil and stuff. I always use butter because butter is fat, fat is flavor. Now, olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, some people use sunflower oil because they have some allergies. That's absolutely fine to use as well. Always go with your dietary needs. You don't have to follow a recipe verbatim. I never do, almost. So that's starting to cook down some more. So then let me grab a spoon. Have a spoon. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera a little bit. So we've got our sour cream. And we're going to start adding in the rest of our ingredients besides the potatoes. The potatoes are going to go into a 9x13 baking dish. And then this is going to pile on top. You just use your finger, nice clean fingers, and get that nice and in there. And then we're going to let it get combined. So that's going to kind of melt. We're going to go in with our salt and pepper, and I'm just going to do like I normally do. I'm going to go with my gut. Because again, I'm using unsalted butter, so there's not any salt in there. But of course there's going to be salts in other things, especially like there's 850 milligrams milligrams of sodium in the little soup cans. So you have to go with how you understand your body with sodium. So get this kind of mixing in, and this is going to give us a really creamy base. It's almost like using like heavy whipping cream, except because the sour cream is a little bit thicker, it's going to make that base a little bit thicker as well, especially once it's cooking down and all the moisture is kind of getting evaporated out of it. This in, and you see it's starting to cook a little bit more, like it's starting to bubble up more and things like that. At this point, you can probably turn it down a little bit more. You just wanted those the onions to really cook and get settled. So we've got to let everything kind of melt together. Bubbling up, getting on my stovetop. Sit and meld. One more ingredient, and that's going to be the Velveeta cheese. I've kind of like crumbled it up a little bit. I can't for the life of me find shredded Velveeta, so I bought one of the blocks of the Velveeta cheese and just kind of crumbled it. It's going to get melted and everything anyway, so we're just going to add that in right on top. I'm getting popped with hot bubbling liquid. I'm going to turn it down another smidge. Probably another 2 smidges. I'm still getting used to the stovetop, to this particular stovetop. When my husband and I moved up here, we were really lucky to get all new like appliances and stuff. And I've had glass top stoves before, but this is nice and new and way more powerful. So I'm still trying to get used to how hot everything actually gets. Get this stirred. And it does. It looks like almost like a white cheese gravy. Is that weird to say? Is there such thing as a white cheese gravy? Is there? I don't know. Well, today there is. I am making a white cheese gravy, apparently. So, we're just getting this all mixed in. Nice. So it's pretty much melded at this point. I'm gonna let that sit and bubble for another minute. We are baking at 350. So we'll let that do its thing. Okay guys, so the oven is preheated to 350. While I was waiting on it to preheat, I went ahead and turned off the burner underneath the saute pan just because I didn't want to get it too cooked, because it's going to go in the oven 350 for an hour. It's going to do plenty of cooking. So I just kind of stirred it periodically with the heat off. It still is on the same burner, so it's still getting a little bit of heat, but it's definitely not actively like that same temperature and cooking. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pour it into the hash browns. That's why I moved the camera a little bit so that we can see. So I'm going to shift it this way. It is a glass Pyrex 9x13 with the 2 pounds of hash browns. So we're just going to pour it right on top there. Alright. Okay. We'll put that right there. And we're going to very carefully move that cheesy gravy goodness just to kind of sit right on top. And I'm just going to kind of poke at it a little bit so that it'll move the hash browns underneath so that the gravy and the cheese and everything can kind of go through and kind of penetrate the hash browns, but most of it's just going to stay on top, and it's going to kind of seep through as it cooks, and it's going to create a really nice layer in there. So that's all done. Like I said, we're going in the oven 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour, and then we'll take it out and let it cool, and then we'll go ahead and work on our potato refrigerator yeast rolls. Into the oven. It's hot. See you in an hour. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time for another Jillian voiceover while I very quickly on screen bake some dinner rolls. So we have 1.5 cups of warm water, about 100 degrees. Pour an entire yeast packet into this warm water, kind of mix it up, get it all prepped and ready. You see, I already have 2 cups, 2.5 cups of already prepared mashed potatoes. So I'm going to take my steel mixing bowl, and 2/3 cup of sugar is going to go into this bowl. That sugar, of course, is going to continue to feed the yeast once the yeast and water mixture is added in. There's a Connie in the background. My apologies. 1.5 teaspoons of salt is going to go into the mixture as well, because you can't have bread without a little bit of salt in it. Shake it around a little bit. Then 2/3 cup, there's a lot of 2/3 going into this batch, but 2/3 cup of soft, so non-refrigerated vegetable shortening. And that's going to go into there. We've got 2 whole eggs that are going to go in. You don't have to do just the yolks or just the whites. You're just going to crack it and go, and it's going to be great. We're going to get those in. Connie is very patiently waiting in the background just in case I drop something. But we are going to add 1 cup of mashed potatoes, hence the potato refrigerator yeast roll title, there are going to be mashed potatoes in there. So 1 cup of mashed potatoes is going to go in. I'm just measuring it out right there. You guys are lucky you don't have to listen to the audio of this, because the sheer scraping of metal on metal was terrible, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was pretty terrible. So it's kind of funny because the recipe states that once everything is mixed, like the yeast, the water, all the items, even before the flour is added in, you're gonna hand mix. So that's what I'm doing. Got a glove, just makes it a little bit easier, because obviously go in with a bare hand, everything's just gonna get stuck, and you're gonna get ingredients everywhere, and it's just a mess. So after this is all hand mixed for the most part, we're going to start putting in our flour, a cup at a time. Original recipe calls for 7 to 7.5 cups of flour. Obviously, it's going to be based on humidity and elevation. So, depending on how dry or wet your dough is, you're going to want to amend the amount of flour that goes in. I ended up putting 6 cups of flour into my mix, and then continued to mix it by hand. Once I did get it mixed by hand, you get it, put it on a floured surface, take it out of the bowl, start mixing, start kneading, get it to where the dough is not as sticky, and it's going to be really smooth and really elastic. You want to build those gluten strands, because here in this kitchen, we eat gluten. We shouldn't eat a lot of it, but we eat gluten. So you're going to go ahead and just mix it, knead it, get those gluten strands elastic and smooth and whatnot. Then it's going to go into a greased bowl for hour and a half to 2 hours, covered and put into the fridge. Again, hence the refrigerator rolls. So once you've done that, you just have to wait.
All right, it has been an hour and a half in the fridge. It's risen a little bit. Give it a good punch, and of course my rings get stuck in the lovely dough that we've created. I'm going to go ahead and flour up the surface again. Gonna plop that out. Definitely not as satisfying as I've seen on Bread Talk, because that stuff is sexy. So I'm going to go ahead, take my bench knife, divide it. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 dozen, because that's just me. It's a recipe that makes 4 dozen rolls, and I'm going to end up making 2 dozen. Funny enough, the rolls actually ended up pretty small anyway, so I don't know how you make 4 dozen rolls out of this dough unless you're making real tiny rolls. Or maybe I didn't do the recipe right. It's probably because I didn't do the recipe right. But I've got my 2 9x13 pans. I'm going to divide the dough into 24 separate rolls, as equal as I possibly can. And then those are going to be, once again, left for about 2 hours to rise a little bit more proof. And then I will set my oven temperature to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the oven is preheated, those rolls are going to go in for 12 to 15 minutes. I ended up putting them in for 13 minutes, and you'll see at the end how they came out. But I think they came out pretty well, even though, you know, they didn't cook the full 15 minutes. So, yeah, there we go.
And that, my friends, after a 400 degree Fahrenheit oven and about 13 minutes, our rolls are complete. We have our potato casserole here in a lovely serving dish. We've got our rolls stacked up nicely on a little cake stand. And those are a couple of our side dishes for our Thanksgiving feast that we will soon be having. I'd like to invite you to subscribe. Hit that little notification bell set to all videos if you'd like. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, the little thumbs up. Comment if you would like to see more of these videos. If you have any suggestions for videos, for recipes, go ahead and comment below. And if you try any of these recipes, please let me know how they went. Even, send a picture or something. I don't know. Comment a photo. I'm going to eat a roll and a little bite of this potato casserole because it smells really good. And I've been sitting in this kitchen with it smelling really good for a while today. So, cheese, like a lot of cheese. Very creamy, very smooth. Love it. And then we pick out the perfect roll. I've never had potato rolls before. And this is like, it's kind of dense, but it's really light at the same time. It's really good. I'm very excited about these for Thanksgiving. Yeah. Anyway, guys, the rolls are from a 1960s Betty Crocker recipe book. Found it online because I don't have that recipe book, but I did find it online. And of course, the recipes for both are going to be linked down below in the description. The potato casserole is also from our Sun City, Arizona, 1960 to 1999, 2000 cookbook. And like I said, they're going to be listed below in the description. So go, get cooking. It's almost Thanksgiving, guys. Go. Get ready. Bye.